Hello, and welcome to the Core Dog Experience. We're here to talk Ohio State Buckeyes, talk college sports, bringing it to you from a fan's point of view. So, of course, if you're feeling what you're hearing, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Help a brother grow this thing out. Now, the CFP rankings were released, but before I get into my take and thoughts on that, I just got to give a shout out. Shout out to all the peeps that viewed my video following the Michigan game. Props to all the fans that took the time out to look at the video, took the time out to comment, took the time out to post. I truly do thank all of you. My goal coming into the year was simple. I'm trying to grow this thing out, just get over the 200 subscriber threshold. My Michigan fans, my Michigan counterparts, I don't know if they fans per se, but my Michigan counterparts, they helped the brother out, and I do appreciate that. You guys put me well over my goal for the year, almost got me close to 300. So again, if you're feeling this, if you're looking this at for the first time, please hit that subscribe and see if I can't hit 300 before the year is out. But I said I talk Ohio State, but I try to do as best as possible to keep it fair and cool and stuff and chill, because I got a lot of, especially following the Michigan game, because believe it or not, I got a lot of family, a lot of friends that favor Michigan and do not like Ohio State. So I come from it from that perspective. I try to have fun with the rivalry, because I do think this is the best rivalry in all the sports, and the fact that you guys took the time out to subscribe after watching. I don't know if you watched the whole thing or not, but I do appreciate the 5 to 10 seconds you took the time out to click like, took the time out to make comments, took the time out to subscribe. So I do appreciate and truly appreciate all that, and I hope you guys who done that will come back and check a brother out and help me continue this thing to grow. So again, just wanted to get that out there. Following that, I do truly appreciate all the comments and likes I get, and I'm still working my way through some of the comments, because there were a lot, and about 99.999%, like I said, my Michigan counterparts, they were real cool, they were real chill. A lot of them came from the viewpoint, hey, we've been there, we know what you guys are sort of going through right now. We've been there, we feel for you, we glad you're going through it, but we feel for you nonetheless. And like I said, I got family and friends who are Michigan fans, and we give each other the whatnot, back and forth. It's fun rivalry, and at the end of the day, say what you go say, have your fun with it, and then we go chill and have a beer or some afterwards, cause I do know what you guys were going through during what started during once Jim Tressel got here, and all through the Urban Meyer thing. It was fun at first. I'm gonna admit it was fun at first, but as the streak continued for Ohio State, I start feeling bad for for my family and friends, So I feel what they going through, and a lot of think you Michigan fans and stuff are starting to feel like what some of us have went through or going through right now. Y'all don't want it to end, but you can sort of empathize with some of the fan base. So again, I'm appreciative of all the views, and again all the comments that for the most part were very positive and supportive. So again, fun rivalry. I think the fans is what make this rivalry one of the best, if not the best, in all of sports. So again, appreciate everything that you guys have done regarding that last video. Again, new goal. 300, y'all almost picked me over the top. So if y'all peeping this again for the first time, or did not subscribe maybe the first time, just hit that subscribe button and see if I can reach my goal of 300 before the year is out. So with that said, the CFP rankings are out, and my initial thought after looking at it, I think one of the few times given the expansion that we might be able to say this. I don't know if we're going to be able to say it moving forward, but I think they actually got the darn thing right when all was said and done, given all the jockeying that folks were doing leading up to it. But I think the committee, when they got in the room, they actually got it right. But before we see at the stuff, the final CFP ranking, just take a quick gander at what some of the final AP poll looked like heading into conference championship weekend, and see where the teams stood at that particular time before the conference championship games played out. So the final AP rankings, as you see, the only thing that's really stood out to me is where they had Alabama, which is going to be the theme throughout throughout most of this posting here, is Alabama and how they were treating Alabama. Alabama, mind you, they ain't got Nick Saban on the sidelines. But again, Alabama, nevertheless. Now, following their debacle, and I'm going to call it that, against Oklahoma, I thought they should have fell a lot further than this. Here they got them at number 11 in the final AP ring, and I thought they should have fell a lot further because they lost in a bad way. That was a bad loss. And normally if you have a bad loss, you drop a lot further than what Alabama did. But they did drop them just enough so they're on the precipice of being able to make the CFP if certain things fell the right way. So that was my first take, just looking at the final AP poll. They have Alabama positioned to try to make the case for them, depending on how the conference championship games played out. And they started that jockeying literally before the Oklahoma fans could storm the field following that 24-3 beatdown. And it was a beat down. And like I said, why they didn't drop further following a beat down, well, we know, but you thought they would have dropped further. But they started the jockeying right then and there on behalf of Alabama. My Alabama team that already had lost to an unranked Vanderbilt team. Improved Vanderbilt team. I love their quarterback. They always sort of had a rugged defense, but they bullied Alabama in that game. And Oklahoma did pretty much the same. So 3 losses, 2 of them to unranked teams, and to lose that bad to an Oklahoma team that late in the season, yeah, they should have dropped them much further. But they had Bama ranked over SMU and Arizona State, who only got 2 losses, I think, heading into championship weekend. But they had them ranked, still managed to find a way to keep Alabama in front of those 2 teams. So we head into the conference championship games, matchups, depending how certain things fell during these conference championship games, was going to mainly decide the final 12 teams pairings. So the games played out. Oregon, great game against Penn State. They held on. My only thoughts about that game, when I was pulling for Penn, I ain't gonna lie, I was pulling for Penn State. I really did want to see a newbie come into the conference and win it their first time out, but they did. Kudos to Oregon for doing what few teams have been able to do: beat Michigan, beat Ohio State, and beat Penn State. So they did what they needed to do. Hats off to Oregon for doing that. But the only thing I was pulling for Penn State. The old school Big Ten person in me was pulling for Penn State in their conference championship game. The other big ones, of course, was the SEC. Georgia escaped another late season tussle with a good team. And they survived. Again, Texas, I sort of let that one slip away in the first half. You score some touchdowns. I don't think, is it a game in the second half? I don't know. I mean, Georgia had a penchant for coming back, but Texas left so many points they left so many points on the field in the first half. It's just, you just knew it was just going to come back and bite them, and it did. And of course, the one that I think everyone, but that wasn't the important one. The one I'm talking about, everyone had their game on, was the eyes on, was the Clemson SMU game, because that was the one game that was going to affect Alabama. Was that game. What was going to go on with the ACC? So the games played out. Clemson was doing their thing to to the SEC folks, they were probably mad at first, but as Clemson started to pour it on, that's like, I'm pretty sure they were feeling good. All right, if Clemson goes on to blow out SMU, we got an argument. But things didn't play out that way. SMU actually made a game of it. And it took a long-ass field goal for Clemson to pull that out in the waning seconds. So, stage has been set, games played, close games. And they said going in, it's hard to take them to their point sometimes. And they wanted to make a case that should you make your conference championship game, you surely shouldn't get heavily penalized if you lose that game. Especially if it's a close game, like a lot of these games were. A lot of one-score games were the games that really, really matter in terms of the bigger conferences, SEC, Big Ten, ACC. Big 12. You want to throw them in there because Arizona State put a whipping on Iowa State again. I think Arizona State may be the hottest team going into the thing playoffs. So, but that's how it played out. And as the games wore on, a couple things stood out when the final AP rankings came out. I think to a lot of folks, I only say this because given how, like I said, the jockeying for that ESPN was doing on behalf of Bama, a lot of the SEC coaches were whining and complaining about their strength of schedule. Y'all beating up a bunch of average, mediocre teams within your own conference. Maybe that argument would play in the past, and we'll see, but in my mind, this year, the top of the Big Ten was better than the top of the SEC. The Big Ten teams won the games they were supposed to win for the most part, save the final week of the season where, we lost to a rivalry game. Do we really count rivalry games in these? I suppose you have to. Suppose you have to, but the Indianas, Penn States, Ohio State for the most part, save the one glaring thing. They won the games they were supposed to win against these unranked teams. The top of the SEC, can't say that. They got bad losses all across the board. There were three lost teams. They were bad losses. Like I said, Alabama. Yeah, you beat Georgia, but in the process, you lost to Vanderbilt. Good, but albeit an unranked team, and to a loss to a terrible Oklahoma team. Like, there never should have been an argument. They never should have been in the position that they were in to begin with, in my opinion. But so I'm sort of glad the games played out the way they did. And like most notably, when the CFP rankings came out, that's why I think they got it right. Bama got bumped out. Clemson got bumped in. And I think that's the way it should have been. And I said, other than that, my only thing is not mad about, just I wish Penn State would have won, just to preserve some of the old Big Ten guard that you ain't gonna come in and win on your first year, but damn it, they did. So hats off to Oregon. But you knew Oregon gonna be number one. Georgia lucked out. They lucked out. They got over it. So like I said, the committee got it right. No tears here for Bama being left off. This controversy they kept saying, I thought it was created by the talking heads at ESPN, and it started the minute they lost to Oklahoma. I bet ESPN, SEC, they hating on Clemson right about now. They're hating on them with the game started because they're hoping SMU won. They probably had ebbs and flows throughout that whole game. When Clemson was up, 21-3, when Clemson was blowing them out, and it looked like it was going to be a rout, I'm pretty sure they became Clemson fans at that point. But then SMU, to their credit, they did not lay down. They did not lay down. They fought all the way back, tied that game up. and it took a miraculous, not I say miraculous, but a really good kickoff return to get Clemson in position. They got the pass to get them to a manageable field goal try, and the dude kicked a 56-yarder. Can't argue with that. And the talking heads were mad during that whole SMU comeback, because if SMU was going to lose, it had to be in a blowout fashion. It had to be. That was the only way they could justify keeping Alabama in there. If you had to move Clemson up, because once Clemson won, they were guaranteed a spot. So they are guaranteed a spot, and they were outside of the top 12 moving in. They had to bump somebody out. They had to either going to be Bama or SMU. And like I said, they got it right, because SMU came back. If they hadn't come back, you could very well see Alabama taking that last spot. But to their credit, and SMU came back. They made it a close game, one-score game. Yeah, committee's hands were tied. They saving grace now. The chairperson was on ESPN talking. It was a very, 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 very big debate. Very big debate. We had to take everything into consideration. And we had to look at the whole picture. And again, those Vanderbilt and the Oklahoma losses. Yeah, you beat Georgia, but those losses stand out because they were bad losses, especially the Oklahoma one, 24-3. And what's the game even that close, that late in the season? Like I said, they shouldn't have been in position anyway following that loss, but they managed to keep them right there where they had a hope if certain things fell the right way in the conference championship games. You can talk about their strength of schedule all they want, but to me, SEC just a bunch of mediocre teams beating up on each other and losing the teams they had no business losing to. You say what you want about SMU, you can say what you want about applies to Indiana as well, but they destroyed every team all the unranked teams they played. Alabama can't say the same thing. Hell, Texas can't even say the same thing. Indiana, SMU, they beat all the unranked teams they were supposed to beat, and they beat them badly. So I ain't got no tears for them. I ain't got nothing for them. You want to change to something? Stop playing these FCS schools in November. Like I mentioned them a couple weeks ago. The SEC, you could get by with that. In the past, you play these FCS schools because you could tout your transfer schedule, and we need a break. Everyone else playing 9 conference games. Y'all need to start playing 9 conference games and start with these FCS schools, these level 2 schools in November. And the thing was about it this year, did you see the schools they were playing this year across the SEC? They weren't even playing schools with good records. They were playing. If you go play an FCS school, at least play a team that has a heartbeat. A lot of these teams they are playing across the board in the SEC, these FCS schools will have 2-8 records, 3-7 records, and SEC playing them like they championship contenders on the FCS level. Nah. So again, the only thing that this thing was surprising to some folks were the talking heads at ESPN who tried to make a controversy, maybe to the SEC commissioner and to all the coaches, because they probably thought they were making a good case about their strength of schedule. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe you weren't losing the unranked teams. You might have a case, but y'all kept losing the unranked teams. So again, a surprising decision to many of us. No, I thought it was pretty cut and dry. Alabama never should have been in the conversation to begin with. The only ones that really might be surprisingly, might be the ACC themselves, because they were worried. They even started, some of the coaches, Dabo been talking all season about this stuff, but they were sort of worried about they were going to get hosed again. So they got hosed last year. Let's just be blunt. They got hosed last year. No one in real Florida State should have been left out last year. But Clemson won it. Might be the only time I was sort of kind of rooting for Clemson, because it could have posted this scenario where the SEC gets left out. So who would have thought coming into this season that the SEC in a 12-team field would only manage to get 2 teams. Let that sink in. SEC only managed to get 2 teams. And I don't hear about they beat up on they lost to some unranked teams within their own conference. Like I said, maybe if they had played another conference opponent as opposed to the FCS schools that they like to play this time in November, who knows? But I think they're getting penalized somewhat for doing that, and I think it's about time. Stop doing it. Other conferences are playing 9 games in the conference. Y'all should come on board and start doing it too. That's in my opinion. So, said maybe one of the few times I was rooting for Clemson to win, but not by much. Just enough for SMU to remain in the conversation, which they did. So it played out perfectly, in my opinion. You want to call it revenge at the ACC? So be it. I'm sure they ain't thinking it that way, but Florida State got holes last year, and now it's sort of a little bit of playback, don't you think, for the ACC to knock potentially one, well, knock Alabama out. I think it's justified for what happened last year. Alabama knocked Florida State out this year. They get knocked out this year. Alabama knocked Florida State out last year. This year they get knocked out by the AC school. See how stuff turns around? Karma does play out every here and there. Other things that came about, or other stuff I was reading about, snubs. Who got snubbed in the thing? And not so much who got left out, because I don't think Alabama was snubbed. I think the committee got it right. So then you go in to who got ranked where. And some folks want to make the argument Notre Dame got snubbed because they clocking in at number 5. I'm like, no, they didn't. Get in the conference, play a championship game, and actually win your conference. Then you can talk. Why these conferences are letting Notre Dame skate by at this point, I don't know. Then you lay on the fact that they lost to Northern Illinois. They doing good to be where they at, because they ain't got a conference game. They didn't have to play in the conference championship. They shouldn't even be able to get as high as number 5 unless you go undefeated. I ain't no fan of. I got no love lost for Notre Dame either. I mean, they is where they should be, given that they don't play in the conference and they doing good to be there. I ain't gonna put Notre Dame above a conference champion. I don't care who the conference champion is. I'm not putting them in over Boise State, because Boise State played a good schedule. They got a good team, Heisman contender. Ain't putting them above Arizona State. Arizona State got some impressive wins, and they won the extra game in their conference championship. And Notre Dame ain't going above Georgia or Oregon, so number 5 might even be too high. Number 5 might be too high for Notre Dame. I'm just saying. So they ain't get snubbed. These folks trying to make an argument that Notre Dame got snubbed. Other big takeaway. Then I'm gonna move on just a little bit, because I think as we get ready for the games. But other big development, I think, that Georgia saved the committee from was deciding what to do with Georgia, given that Carson Beck got hurt. To circle back to Florida State, because isn't that why Florida State got left out last year? Undefeated, won their conference championship game, but they lost their starting quarterback. And what did the committee say? We had to take into account the players' availability to see if we're going to determine if they're going to be in the CFP. Ain't that the same scenario that just played out? But yeah, Georgia hold on to their number 2. They hold on. They held on. They ain't looking for Georgia to drop out of the CFP, but you still gonna hold them at a number 2 ranking? They lost their quarterback. We don't know what his availability is going to be. And they can't go by precedent, because if you're going to take precedent into account, you would have did it last year when Florida State lost their starting quarterback. They had to go with their backup. Now, as Buckeye fans, we know the precedent has been set in those situations. Look no further than Cardale Jones and what he did when we lost our starting quarterback. The precedent had been set already. They could have applied it to Florida State last year. The precedent had previously been set by none other than the Buckeyes when their backup quarterback went in destroyed Wisconsin. I don't know. They didn't win their championship game by enough points. Florida State, I don't know, but Cardale Jones destroyed Wisconsin, led us against Alabama, and then of course he ran over Oregon. The precedent had been set for a backup quarterback to come in and get the job done. They could have applied it last year with Florida State when they lost their starting quarterback. Instead of that excuse to let Saban in on his last year on the sideline, because I think that's all it was. They wanted to give Saban a chance to go out on top. That's all it was. That's all it was. So they avoided that, I suppose, to some degree, with Georgia coming back to win. Because if they had lost that game without their starting quarterback, what you going to do with Georgia? You going to leave them out? 9-3? Lost their starting quarterback? Because they punished Florida State for making their championship game and losing. And they won it. They didn't even lose their championship game. They won their championship game. So what would they have done if Georgia had gone on to lose it? Now you're looking at a 9-3 team without their starting quarterback. Just saying. But they were able to avoid that, I suppose. But it was something that was going on. Because everyone was thinking it when he went down. And when he went down and he didn't come back out for the third quarter, it was going through everyone's mind. What if? What if? But they sort of avoided that. So we will see how it plays out. So when it's all said and done, the dust is settled. This is our conference championship bracket. This is the breakdown. This is who's going to be playing who. Take a minute. I know you already seen it, but here, just take another look. I'm a visual person. See who gonna be playing who gonna be doing what. So after a quick look, thing that stands out for us Buckeye fans, things what we probably want to say dreaded the most. Our first match, we got the home game. But it's against the SEC. We know our record against the SEC. Ain't very good one, I admit. It goes across the board. You just can't throw this on Ryan Day. This is across the board. Ohio State's record is not the most stellar when it comes to playing the SEC. We got what? 2 wins and no. Well, I'm going to say 2. I'm holding on to Terrell Pryor and our win over Arkansas. I don't care. Nobody say. We beat Arkansas, and that was a good Arkansas team. Darren McFadden, I believe, was the running back. That was a good Arkansas team. Terrell Pryor beat them. I'm holding on to that win. I don't care what the record books say. I don't care what wins were vacated. We holding on to that win because he was approved and allowed to play. You can't allow someone to play then say, oh, our bad. So we got that win, and of course we got the win over Bama. In the first ever CFP, led by Cardale Jones, the aforementioned backup quarterback. We got those wins, but other than that, we ain't got much to talk about. So this is going to be a much to watch, much anticipated game, first round game. We always said what's going to happen with the SEC when they got to go up to Big Ten country in November and December. Well, we about to find out. And I hope Ryan Day and company has a better game plan offensively than what they did from Michigan. Because they do, they do that. And I ain't going to rehash the game because it's painful to talk about, but they got to do something different. Play to your strengths. Please play to your strengths. Defense, the final drive, they could have stopped on the final drive. But when you give up 13 points with our offense, you should win a game. And that's all I'm going to say about that. That's one of the first things that stands out. We play in the SEC. Big Ten, we got 4 teams in. And they gotta win. We got 4 teams in here, and I think at all the games but one, we are the lower seed, so we should go at least 3-1. Ohio State should beat Tennessee. If you're going by the rankings, we got the number 1 overall team, Oregon, and Penn State. They should beat SMU, who the committee didn't want in here anyway. You don't think they'd be happy with a Penn State-Alabama matchup? Of course they would. And then we got the battle for Indiana, which I think deserved to be in because, yeah, they blew out everyone they played. SEC teams can't say that. They lost to unranked teams. Indiana didn't. Case closed. Battle for Indiana. The state of Indiana is going on. Indiana and the Notre Dame, and I give them a good shot to win that game because they can throw the ball around. Notre Dame's feasted on the academies these last for the month. So they used to the triple option. Now they got to play a team that can throw the ball some. So that's going to be an interesting one. But our Big Ten team, they got to show. You can't do like our basketball teams normally do when we get a bunch of teams in there. Because say for last season, our basketball team, they make early exits in the NCAA tournament, don't they? We get a bunch of teams in there, but shit, by round 16, 75% of them are gone. Purdue got there last year, but we knew they weren't going to win. Big Ten ain't won the basketball title since Michigan State way back in the day. Hell, next round of expansion, we need to get some teams that can win some basketball. Shit, go get Kansas or something. I don't know, but anyway. And lastly, revival of the Pac-12. Look at the Pac-12. Not only does a newbie win the Big Ten in Oregon, but Arizona State, who was picked to go last, come in last, they go in the Big 12 and win. So if they would have some better leadership in the Pac-12, that conference would still be together because they teams showed out during these conference championship games and they showed out in their new conferences. So kudos to them. Last little bit of ode to the old and now defunct Pac-12. So these playoffs are going to be interesting to say the least. A lot of Buckeye fans are going to have their eyes on the Tennessee game because they already want Ryan Day gone. Like I said, that's a whole nother show. Talk about Ryan Day and what to do. Because to some fans, it don't matter what Ryan Day does in these playoffs. They want him gone. I said I wanted to focus on the CFP, but we're going to have a whole nother thing just talking about Ryan Day. And do these playoffs really mean anything in the eyes of many Buckeye fans? Because you lose to Michigan, that's it. There ain't no coming back. Half the fans wanted him gone after the second loss. We 4 in now. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is the game we were supposed to win, if any. This was the one we were supposed to win. And to lose the way we did, yeah. We are unforgiving fan base. And I don't know if winning the national championship, if he's able to pull it off, going to make a matter of difference. They want him gone, period. But that's another topic for another day that we will touch upon. Ryan Day, he's going to have a whole thing just for himself. But this team has the talent to make a deep run. They do. They got to get out their own head, get out their own way, and just play football. Stop trying to prove shit. If you can't run the ball, throw it, damn it. I don't. Play to your strengths. That's all I was. I'm done. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. We're gonna see how the game plays. I hope he learned something from that game. But I'm done. Moving on. Moving on for real now, because I can go down that rabbit hole, and I do want to do a whole separate thing, just for that. So again, CFP rankings are out. I agree with them. I think they good. Like I said in the comments, hit a brother up. Do you agree with the rankings? Do you believe Alabama or someone else possibly could have been in? Do you agree with the order? What do you think about the matchup, Buckeye fans? Tennessee, SEC. Will beating the SEC team ease a little bit of the pain of losing to Michigan? Hit me up in the comments. I do try to reply to all the comments, even if it's just a thank you for viewing and commenting. I do try to hit everyone up. If they take the time to type something, I like to try to take the time to comment back. Good, negative. I try to comment back because I appreciate it. You taking time out to give a brother a look, taking the time out to give me a view, and you taking time out to type something. So I try to respond. I try to respond just to show my appreciation of what you have taken some time out of your day to check a brother out. So again, hit me up in the comments. What do you think? Ohio State, SEC. What do y'all think about Oregon coming in? Again, Big Ten. What do y'all think about Oregon coming in and winning in their initial debut here in the Big Ten? Would you have preferred Penn State to win just for the sake of Big Ten, old school guard somewhat? Think about the matchup, Alabama. Did y'all think Alabama? Because they always do that stuff on paper. Alabama would win. Yeah, Alabama on paper is supposed to be Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, but they didn't. We were supposed to be Michigan, but we didn't. So throw that paper stuff out the window. Oh, on paper, Alabama be favored. No, so they ain't do it when they had the chance to do it on paper. So they are where they are. So what do y'all think about that? Should Bama be in over SMU? Should Bama be in over in? I ain't gonna bring up India. They have. Should Alabama be over SMU? We'll just leave it at that. Were you happy Clemson won? Because I know we have our stuff with Clemson as well. I for one, this is one time I'm happy Clemson won. So just again, hit your brother up in the comments. Whatever you want to discuss, whatever you want to talk about, hit me up, and I do try to respond. And again, before I get out of here, just speaking of playoffs, one last thing I did want to mention before I forget, our Ohio State men's soccer team is in the College Cup, which I believe is the equivalent of the Final Four or the 4-team playoff back before the 12-team expansion. So again, congrats to them. I think they went in as the number 1 seed, and they still holding their own. They got all the way to, I think they won the first 2 rounds, and they getting ready the College Cup. So I try to keep my periphery on some of the other sports going around. My ladies team was in the tournament as well, but they believe they recently got knocked out, but they had a great season. So basketball is underway. We see that we have good teams, so hopefully they can mesh it together. Our ladies team brings back a lot of folks. So again, some stuff to be walking out here for in some of the other sports and going on in Ohio State, because I keep an eye out on as much as possible. But again, cool. Good luck to our men's team, and hopefully they can pull it through and bring a championship back to Ohio State and men's soccer. So with that said, again, appreciate all the views. For all you new folks, hope you're checking me out again, and you're liking a little bit of what you're seeing. That where you want to subscribe and keep checking me out. Again, appreciate everything that you guys have viewed and commented on, and I'm here to get back to you as soon as I can as I go through my comments following that Michigan game. So with that said, again, OHIO. Go Bucks, and until next time, I'm out. Appreciate y'all.